going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. So in this video, I'm going to talk about cold approach, and specifically in the context of, well, it could be approaching people for friendship, or it could be approaching people for romantic intentions. Maybe meeting a partner for casual or long-term romantic experiences. So this is a learned skill. This is something which a lot of people never practice unless you discover books like The Game by Neil Strauss. It's becoming kind of more widely known nowadays, but I discovered The Game back whenever I was living in Bournemouth as a student. I was like 21 years old. I just came out of a long-term relationship and I had no idea how to meet women because I've been in a relationship for like 3.5 years. And then I discovered The Game. I discovered cold approach, and I got into that whole world, and I literally went so deep into this topic. I dedicated my life to it for quite a few years. And it was one of the best things I ever did. And I'm so glad I got into it at the time of my life when I did, because it changed the trajectory of my life and it changed truly who I am at my core. So cold approach can be learnt by anyone. I am a walking example of this. I mean, you can literally just treat it like a workout. If you put in your reps, the better you become at it. You know, I've heard people say, oh, I'm not social, I'm just like an introvert. It's like, no, you can learn this skill. You can learn the art of small talk, how to strike up a conversation, how to read attraction cues, what people respond to. And by doing these approaches, you really gauge how people react to you, and it makes you a lot more self-aware. So like anything, like any skill, the more reps you do, the better you get at it. I would recommend when you start out doing this, before you're like truly, it's ingrained in you, in your psyche, in your physiology, I would start just by being social. Like talk to anyone, like take your headphones out when you're out in public, talk to the granny at the traffic lights, talk to Doris at the checkout. Just say, you having a good day, darling? Or, you know, like, oh, weather's all right, isn't it? Or just strike up a conversation. You know, you're scanning things at the checkout and say, oh, have you ever tried one of those before? You know, just practice small talk, practice like commenting on little things about your surroundings, make observations. Just bring up like current affairs, maybe something not like heavy political, but like maybe someone won the X Factor the other night. Maybe there was a football game on. Like just bring up little things like this to random people. You don't have to have an agenda. It's just about being social. And I think this is stage one. This is where you start. You just start by speaking to strangers, whoever it is. And this gets you used to social feedback. Because nowadays everyone works at a computer. Everyone works this whole working from home movement has isolated us even more. So people are more isolated than they ever have been. So they're getting less social feedback. They're feeling less involved in a community. So they are in their head, and then it's very easy to get caught in these like negative loops. And this is what causes all kinds of mental issues. A lot of the times you can actually put yourself in a much better mental headspace by being social. I believe this is really affecting this younger generation because we are tribe animals. We are built for community, to be living in small tribes. So if you are isolated, you essentially feel excluded from the tribe, and this affects your mental well-being massively. So you need to get out of your head and into your body, and you need to be social. So just start by speaking to everyone and anyone you can. The more reps you get in, the better. And this is just in your day-to-day interactions. So just make it a habit of any time you have the opportunity to speak to someone, you do it. If you have to give yourself like an amount of approaches, if you're that way inclined, most guys are very logical. So it helps if you say, okay, I'm going to do this like 5 to 10 reps a day, just like you're at the gym. And then you make sure you hit those reps and that you're improving every day. Write down the responses you got from people. You know, make like a little approach journal. This, back in the day, there were forums, cold approach forums, where guys would go out to nightclubs and then at the end of the night or the next day, they would actually write a field report on their approaches, how their nights went, and they would post this in the old pickup community forums to get feedback and to learn, because this was a real kind of underground art back in the day. And then we have nighttime interactions. So whenever you're at a bar or a club, you want to make sure that when you enter the venue, you take action, and by taking action, you just speak to the first person or the first group of people you see, ideally of the opposite sex. You don't want to speak, well, you can speak to a guy who is the same gender as you, but it's better if you speak to someone of the opposite sex. More often than not, what guys do is they talk to other guys because that is their comfort zone. And their biggest obstacle that they need to overcome is talking to girls. And the hotter the girls generally are, the more in your head and the more nervous they feel about approaching girls. The first opportunity you get, whether you're queuing up to hang up your coat or whether you are paying for your ticket, you want to speak to the girl who you're buying the ticket off. Just comment on her, oh, that's a nice watch, or you're having a good night. Same applies to the girl if there's someone who you're who's hanging up your coat in the cloakroom, or maybe it could be one of the security staff. Just make an effort to be social as quickly as possible, okay? Because if you don't do this, what happens is you get in a downward spiral. The worst thing you can do is go into a venue and just order a drink and just stand there and think, oh, look, I'm in the venue, I'm being social. No, you're not. And the longer you wait to talk to someone, the harder it gets, the more in your head you become. And you're here to learn social skills, and the last thing you want to do is then just stand there relying on the alcohol to put you in a social mood to be able to speak to someone. You want to learn this the sober way and actually build a real skill. Otherwise, you're just being a dirty degenerate and you're just out at the club drinking and using alcohol as a crutch. Of course, this is a very fun activity, but you're not going to the club with the intention of getting wasted. And I'm from the UK, we have a massive drinking culture there. And what I see a lot of guys doing is the whole agenda of their night is to get as effed up as possible. So they go out, they get straight on the beers, maybe they have pre-drinks, and then they end up doing loads of blow, and then they end up not really, maybe they socialize with some people who are also involved and pretty effed up as well. They stay up all night, they end up ruining their weekend, and they don't really gain any skills from it. So you go there with the intention of practicing your social skills, not to be a degenerate. So the best thing you can do is actually drink water. Or if you want a hack, have lime soda with a little straw and some ice, and it looks like you're having vodka lime soda. So, little tip for you. So, as soon as you enter the venue, you want to just make sure that you speak to someone. Ideally, a girl. If you're a guy, speak to a girl. If you're a girl, speak to a guy. This video is really designed for dudes. If you're a girl watching this, then approach a guy. Or if you're into girls, approach a girl. Whatever you're into, I'm not here to judge. But most of the time, it's guys who need this kind of advice because girls just get hit on anyway. Upon approaching, you cannot hesitate. Hesitation just kills the flow. And you want to get in that state where you're not thinking. And what will happen is after 2, 3, 4 interactions, maybe you have a positive interaction, maybe you get rejected, maybe you get a make out, maybe you get a couple of numbers. By this point, you're just like boom, 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 and you're not overthinking it. And you want to get in that state where you just, as soon as you see someone, you just say hello. Boom, you're in. No hesitation. There's no doubt in your mind. You just boom, you enter and you're in the interaction. That is the mindset and that is the state that you want to be in. If a girl gives you eye contact, or even if she doesn't give you eye contact is generally an indicator of interest. But if she's not giving you indicators of interest, that is not a reason not to approach. If you see somebody you're attracted to, just say hello. Just walk up to them and say, yo, you, what's your name? You don't have to have a pickup line. You don't have to have a cool opener. You just need to engage their attention, strong eye contact, and let the interaction flow. And the more you do that, the easier it will become and the better you'll get at it. Because the key here is not having a perfect thing to say. The key is getting out of your logical mind. And the more action you take, the more you get out of your logical mind, the better your interactions will become. Because remember, communication isn't logical, it is felt. Like a comedian, when he stands up in front of an audience, cannot force a laugh out of the audience. He has to be funny. The same applies to attraction. You cannot force someone to be attracted to you. It's how you make them feel. And it's not what you say that makes them feel attraction. It's often how you say it, the way you say it, the way the words come out, you know, and a lot of this comes from how you feel inside, your internal energy. That transmits to them, and that is what creates this attraction. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, just comment below and I'll be happy to try and answer any of them the best I can. So thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. More videos like this coming soon. Peace out.